When you think of wargaming, games like World of Tanks, World of Warships, and whatnot come to mind. So what exactly inspired the studio to create Steel Hunters? Was it a desire to deliver competitive multiplayer with realistic mechs? Massive combat scenarios of varying scales where two armies could fight it out, competing for various objectives a la Battlefield? Maybe it wanted to go the mech warrior route and offer a competitive shooter with extensive customization. Once you learn what Steel Hunters actually is, a PvEvP extraction third-person shooter where the mechs are akin to heroes, the excitement dulls. The gameplay flow is understandable and easy to get into, but this experience isn't all that fancy. The premise is that a catastrophic event has altered the Earth and caused the emergence of Starfall. This resource is valuable for some reason, and various factions emerge to gather it, using giant mechs called Hunters. Granted, it's likely a little more than a reason to explain away the variance in design. I'm okay with this, but if you're expecting something deeper or really any semblance of lore, you'll have to wait. That being said, I have some gripes on how the premise factors into the overall flow of matches. After completing basic training, two modes open up: Last Stand and Skirmish. The former sees 12 players battling with various AI combatants on the map, while the latter only features PvE threats, likely to help familiarize players with different objectives. It certainly can't be to learn more about dealing with the AI foes because there's currently only one type: drones, and their only attack is calling down a missile strike. Thus, the 12-player Last Stand is where you'll spend most of your time. Once you land, the impetus is on taking out drones, gathering energy to level up your hunter to improve its stats and unlock other abilities, and finding modules to improve your damage, shields, and base health. Higher rarity modules equal higher increases. Unfortunately, Last Stand only facilitates 2-player squads with 12 players in total, which results in some battles feeling pretty tame. The overall number of players doesn't offer much room for chaos, and though the risk of being third-partied is almost non-existent, there must be a happier medium than this. Even then, matches quickly whittle down to 3 surviving squads. If half of those are bots, and based on their aim and overall damage output they may well be, then it feels more like 2v2v2. This means a lot of downtime and a lot of shooting relatively harmless drones. Since modules only offer straight increases to your stats and no random perks or anything worthwhile, it's better to ignore the small fry and uncommon supply pods from level 2 onwards and focus on the guard drones, rogue drones, or legendary scouts to get more XP and potentially higher rarities. There are special consumables which provide benefits like reducing the cooldown on abilities and transforming you into a giant colossus mech, but the latter felt so rare in matches that it wasn't worth pursuing. Because the match flow is so quick, it's not long before you're level capped with enough high rarity modules. There's nothing left to do afterwards but rush to the extraction zone, capture it, and wait for the timer to tick down while the sole surviving team, or 2, attempts to stop you. While it's initially exciting to roll up on a duo and try to take them out, especially when drones are in the mix, these duels quickly become one note. This raises another problem with the overall structure of Steel Hunters. It's not an extraction shooter in that you gather loot, exit the map, and curate a loadout before jumping back in. There aren't zones with higher threat levels or tougher enemies that could incentivize this, nor are there alternative means to extract. Extraction is simply a means to force PvP against the last remaining squad. Whether you come in first or second doesn't really matter either. What about Starfall? The reason that all these factions are fighting? You're awarded Starfall shards at the end of a match, which can be converted into Starfall with Platinum. You can then spend this to upgrade your hunter's level and unlock points, which can be used to unlock certain passives in their skill tree. Certain upgrades require credits also earned from matches and the prominent Battle Pass. Why this confusing system? Well, Platinum is also used to upgrade the free Battle Pass into Pro and Premium tiers. There aren't any microtransactions, but if Platinum becomes the default Premium currency, then I'm not sure how I feel about using it to essentially boost your hunter's level, especially since you unlock access to stat increases and ability upgrades at higher levels. Last Stand matches according to a range of hunter levels, which should level the starting field somewhat. However, you still get skill points from leveling a hunter, which can go into upgrades in the current tier. Because of the matchmaking range, the chances of a truly level start that's dependent on your map knowledge and skill is very low, if non-existent. And besides fighting over Starfall, when everyone, which may as well be two other teams, obtains shards regardless of the outcomes, it causes the whole premise to fall apart. Now, I've gone on about the progression and overall match flow, but what about the hunters themselves? Though they're slower than, say, the mechs in Titanfall or even Mecha Break, I kind of like the overall weight of their movements. Tying jump and dash to the same charges felt annoying at first, but you're not jumping in the middle of combat because the latter are too valuable for avoiding damage, so it's mostly for traversal. In that case, why do measly pathetic jumps that rarely surmount much of the terrain? The Ursus plays like an up-close brawler with its short-range cannon and armor, while the Fenris uses more hit and run tactics, potentially closing the gap to melee and weak enemy. The mod selection for altering their abilities is pretty limited right now, but at least they ensure a bit more variety for your playstyle. However, it is free to play, so nothing is stopping you from giving it a whirl. The overall aesthetic of the mechs gives Transformer vibes, more Michael Bay than Hasbro, but it works, and the quips from each hunter provide a bit more personality without feeling too overdone. Sound design is also on point, reinforcing the heft and weight of these machines. Nevertheless, I'm still perplexed about WarGaming's long-term goal with Steel Hunters. Maybe it felt that a typical hero shooter wouldn't have much room to survive in the current market, which is totally understandable. However, it could do so much more with that premise, mechanics, than simply a super light extraction shooter with dollops of confounding progression. The current plan is to remain in early access for 4 to 6 months while adding new modes, progression paths, and maps. Hopefully, it lives up to its potential and ups the chaos beyond the surface-level hodgepodge of genres.
1 minute until match ends. Objective updated. Extraction zone system under control.
Swapping bags! Shields not functional. This is bad. Tango down. Get your shields up!
30 seconds until match ends.
Hostile squad destroyed.
Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.